I was actively involved in those planning processes. My family and I attended many of the meetings for the Crowne plan and for the 9 Counties, 1 Vision. I actually found in my files, this is the 9 Counties, 1 Vision plan, and these are some of the schematics and all for the Crowne plan. I've got stacks of downtown materials. So here's what I think we ought to do. Actually, I talked to some folks at the city, and they recently sat down and looked at this plan to see how much had actually been implemented. And quite a bit has been done, but not all of it, nor has all of the Crowne plan. But we've seen a lot of improvements over the last 10 years, particularly since Crowne, a little less than that. So what I would do as mayor is pull together the stakeholders downtown and say, let's take a look at what we have planned and where we are, and update this. Let's see what's working still. Some things have changed and won't be relevant anymore, but it's time to take another look. We actually have the laws in place for that. We just need to enforce them. And so I would ask my police department to actively enforce, make sure that we have, particularly when there's more activity going on, there are people down there, which is going to attract more of the panhandlers, have that enforcement there, have the police there who can make sure that they know, first of all, people need to know that it's illegal to do that, and we need to train the public to not respond. Anytime anybody feels sorry and gives $1, I understand why people do that, but in the end, it just encourages it. And so I have seen efforts in other cities where they actually visibly make it clear that you're not helping, that our city is compassionate, we have resources for people. Encourage them to go get those resources. Don't give them money right there on the street, because that ultimately does not help. For a while there, we were saying grocery store. Well, now, as was mentioned, we have 3. For a while, we were saying a bookstore, and we have a bookstore now. So there is still recently, I guess I was on the maybe City People or CBID website where I mentioned the pharmacy and people being interested in that. What I would do is sit down with City People and CBID, see what they are. They already know what they need. The way that we recruit businesses here, number 1, is you build on your existing market. That's really important, I think, when you're going to build the retail sector. But we can specifically target some of those businesses that are specifically wanted, and between the Chamber and CBID and the city, we can do the recruitment efforts. I know when there was a push to get the Urban Outfitters, that idea came to the city, and I was in some of the internal meetings where we did identify some funding that would be available if that deal worked out in order to provide an incentive, and I think that's necessary sometimes. I'm not sure that we want a lot of parks left in the center city, because this is where we want to grow our business and our residences. We have Crooch Park, and I think little pocket parks might be nice. But I think the biggest asset that we have for those living downtown and people like our family that are just south of downtown is the 1,000 acres of urban wilderness. Maybe we need eventually to have the trolley come down there so that we can access it. But I think that is our crown jewel. That's our central park. And I believe we need to develop that all the way from Cherokee Bluff over to Iams and Meads Quarry and out that way. That is where I would focus. I work in partnership with the county, with Legacy Parks. That will also, there's talks about an urban wilderness business district. I believe we can have unbelievable economic opportunity building upon the South Waterfront, coming down Chapman Highway with the whole recreation industry, the outfitters. This is on the way. Once the bridge opens up, it's on the way to the Smokies. So that's where I focus. Yes, I would implement the signage improvements. I'm not sure why they haven't all made probably funding so much annually. I'm not sure about that. I think the next 2 big opportunities for streetscapes or whatever would be the lower Magnolia area closer to downtown, as we're redeveloping that. That's a redevelopment area now. We're starting to move in sort of what's called the warehouse district. And then, of course, on the South Waterfront. As that plan starts getting implemented, as the economy changes and we get the private sector investment that's needed in order for us to do our improvements. Plus, there's still some places, I think, right in the core of downtown where there need to be some sidewalks and some not major infrastructure, perhaps, but still some improvements. We'll just have to look street by street. Living south, there were a lot of folks that, businesses along Chapman Highway that are very concerned about the plan, for the proposed plan, the grassroots plan, as you call it, for Henley Street, and I know our city councilman and city council raised a lot of questions about that. However, the idea is good. You know, how do you connect? How do you make those connections? And as I recall, the Crowne Plaza plan talked about with Clinch Avenue to make that sort of an east-west pleasant place that would head towards Henley Street and have some kind of a connection across Henley that would be enticing and inviting to people to cross. You know, there's a plan now that's in the works to have a new pedestrian bridge from actually from near the museum down to the World's Fair Park, which would also get people across from UT to the north end, eventually the north end of downtown. I believe we need to look for those connectors, but the road diet or whatever for Henley, I don't think is going to work anytime soon. We do have parking downtown, but people need to know where it is. But it is true that on some busy nights and on weekends that we reach capacity. We're already adding a floor to the State Street parking garage, and we may need to add more. Apparently, what I understand, the city is doing a comprehensive look now at all the available spaces and how are they signed. Are they 10-minute, you know, 1 hour, 15-minute commercial or whatever, so we can map this and see exactly what it is we have. Over the years, as businesses came in, we were kind of reactive. Somebody needed something, we set it up. Now we need to do a comprehensive strategy to look and see, or a comprehensive analysis of what we have, how it's being utilized, and then come up with a plan. We may want to look at a parking authority. That's near and dear to my heart. I was on the oversight committee for that and also on the team that helped select the designer, so I'm very interested in that plan. The plan has always been based on having the private sector investment. Unlike downtown North, Cumberland, some of the others, it's more than just a public infrastructure. We need to have the private sector commitment before we build some of it. However, I think it is time. First thing I would do is talk to the property owners there. Let's take another look where we are, and we may need to jumpstart it a little bit, perhaps with one of the parks there near Phillips Avenue, that area. We may want to consider that because it's also something that could be a benefit. I think we need to look at the money, the revenues that will come in with Baptist Hospital now being or soon to be owned by a private sector, and see whether that would allow us to jumpstart anything because some revenues would be there. So the city has moved from just a plan to the beginning of implementation for Magnolia Avenue, and that is with the lower part closest to town. And that's part of a bigger strategy of focusing on the commercial spokes that come out from downtown with Cumberland Avenue, Central, Broadway, and then Magnolia. One of the things that we did as Director of Community Development, we were able to jumpstart a little bit of the reinvestment on Magnolia through the Empowerment Zone facade improvement loans. And because there were so many opportunities, you might say, along Magnolia, because of the blighted properties, we picked some very key intersections and made an investment which is helping those businesses and is driving some new businesses there. But I think our biggest focus should start with the warehouse district, the part closest to downtown. By making this a redevelopment area, which has been approved, it then allows some incentives such as tips, and tips are what made the difference in downtown Knoxville.